Welcome to Canine Revolution Radio. Presented by Canine Revolution Dog Training, enhancing the dog and owner relationship through education, balance, and pack instinct.
Trained, but he's still reactive. So we start talking. I'm like, hey, you're going on a road trip. Check out our podcast. And so went this time. He's like, dude, y'all's podcast is awesome. I love it. I listened to like 4 episodes. It's awesome.
Wait. Pause it. Are we recording? So this whole thing is okay. Wait. So you went to your barber?
Went to my barber.
Yeah. You're getting cool with him because we got a video idea.
Cool. We're getting cool.
Yeah.
We got a video idea. Like the pitch, but yeah, he liked our podcast. He listened to it on our road. He said. On his road trip.
Wait, what kind of dog does he have?
Boys, he's got a Frenchie. He's got a Frenchie. You know how the Frenchies are.
They got the nice fat faces.
Oh yeah.
Good to go.
Oh yeah. He says he gets buck.
So he's good to go for the video idea.
Not yet. We'll get him good to go.
He might have to work a deal with his Frenchie to get the video good to go.
Ben, you want to go to the barber with me? We got to go downtown though. You got to go downtown.
Ben ain't got no hair.
He does big shaves. He'll shave you all the way.
He wants to razor my head.
Yeah.
I want to razor my head.
You got to go downtown though, like downtown.
I don't like that.
It's the Pineapple Park.
Yep.
Whatever that park's called.
Only time I go downtown is for group classes when we have to.
Yeah.
Or for distraction work.
Or for your barber.
Or if there's a client down there we got to go see.
Or if I got to get my beard trimmed
Those
up.
are the only times authorized. So, all right. So let's get to the meat of the episode today. First off, we got some new apparel out. So
Nice.
if you guys are watching this on YouTube, hop over to our Instagram, click the link in the bio, go to our Facebook, click that link. We've got our new Iron Revolution line.
That's my
It's
favorite
got
so far.
This Jack Doberman figurine with a dumbbell. Get on all ripped up and all that. Iron Revolution. So we're starting a little bit of a gym line with that because we like the gym. Chris likes the treehouse gym.
Jim's a gym, boys.
And then we got our traditional logo with the Doberman, which is actually Bane, and then the tattered American flag, Canine Revolution apparel. Then we got the hats as well. We got the black hat. We also got the camo hat. Really big fan of the camo hat. So
It's nice. I wore it yesterday.
nice hat. Good to go. So all right. So today we're talking about dogs and children. So Chris, you have a child.
I have a wild animal that's 2 years old.
You have some dogs.
I got some dogs.
You got a lot of dogs.
I got a lot of dogs.
You got 4 dogs.
Yeah.
They just keep showing up at your house.
I got 3 dogs.
So anyway, with that being said, let's talk today about a lot of the things that we deal with dogs and children. A lot of things you see people dealing with or people asking you questions about. So give me some of your takeaways. Having a child, having some dogs. What are your key points to making that relationship work good?
Yeah, for sure. Bottom line, training. Got to have training.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people reach out when there's issues. Oh my gosh, my dog bit a kid or whatever. I need some training. Well, hey, we got a wait list. You know what I'm saying? So training is paramount. It's never, get the training now. Do it now.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to have that level of control over your dogs. You're not necessarily going to have that level of control over the kids when the kids come. You know what I'm saying?
You can't train your kid?
No. if you got a board and train for that.
Funny story about Chris and his kid. Chris is out in the yard. He's playing with one of his dogs. He's playing fetch. His kid's on like one of those little
RC, like a little RC
tractors,
electric
tractor. He's
car.
driving it around, driving around the yard. Chris has a French drain that he's working on that's open. It's probably like 3 feet deep.
It's probably
4 feet deep.
Yeah.
And his kid's driving over to it, and Chris is across the yard with his shirt off, playing with his dog, and he's like, "Hey, watch out for the French drain." Like he knows what he's talking about.
He knows.
And Chris's son is just driving, looking at Chris, smiling, and just drives right into the ditch.
Not a good recall.
At the last second, when Chris realizes that he's going to go into it, Chris starts sprinting across the yard. But
Too late. It was too late. He was fully submerged in the water that was in the trench. I had to yank him out. Good to go. No issues.
So
Builds character.
So the kids can't be trained like dogs.
I mean, they can. I'm personally still working on that one. Dogs good to go. Kids still figuring that one out. So. But yeah, I mean, you got to have training. Got to have that control. Like I mean, in the house, when you're talking about in the house, it can get chaotic, especially you got two kids running all over the place.
I'm all girls.
Yeah.
I'm outnumbered.
I mean, that can be even crazier from what I hear. You know, I've heard some stories.
Yeah.
But spot command, super important. You know, being able to send your dogs. You know, I've got 3 dogs. All 3, send them to the spot. Boom, I can manage my child. Management is key as well. You know, and you have a responsibility as well to watch your child, right? So like you hear all these crazy news stories of, dog mauled a child or all this stuff, and it's all about that dog gets to put down. That dog's aggressive, this and that. And I'm always like reading these articles, like, where's the parents? What are the parents doing here? How does this kid find themselves in this situation? So management is a big thing. You got to be able to control the environment, just like we talk about with the dogs. You know, when we talk about dog-on-dog aggression, that kind of stuff within the pack, you got to be able to control that environment as an effective pack leader over not only your dogs, but your kid as well.
Yeah. Being a parent is tough, though. Not easy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you're a parent, you're tired. Your
Yep.
kid is like full of energy. You know?
I'm tired right now.
You're always tired when you're a parent. No doubt about that. That's why you got the Jocko.
That's it.
Jocko drink. Good
That's
to go.
right.
And some coffee. But, sometimes you might be a parent, you're tired. Your dog and your kid have never had an issue before. No issues. Your dog has never had issues. So you sit on the couch. You're kind of scrolling through your phone. Maybe you're just kind of like in that, not really asleep, but kind of like
you're just hanging out, just doing
state,
life. You know what I'm saying?
And meanwhile, your kid is shoving his or her thumb into your dog's eye.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not comfortable.
Yep.
And so then the dog at that point makes a decision to get out of the situation by maybe the dog has growled and the kid's laughing, shoving their thumb in deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So the dog's trying to give warning signals, but it can't
Yep.
get out of the situation. Nobody's there to help. So the dog just bites the kid to alleviate the situation. And sure enough, it alleviates it.
Yep.
And the kid's screaming. His face is ripped open because, a child's skin is very easily
Tender.
torn. Yep, tender, fragile. And a dog, instinctually is designed and built to, with conspecifics other dogs to like have bite inhibition, grab a hold of another dog, in a corrective way, but not overbearing. But
Sure.
dogs have fur. Dogs have thick skin. So the dog may be using that amount of pressure that it would use on a dog, but it's a child.
Yeah.
So then there is major damage there. And now the dog's in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So before we get to that point, like you said, we need to have that training. We do need to have a management plan.
Yeah.
Even if your dog and your kid have never had an issue, I would still recommend heavy management plan, because if you're tired and you want to sit on the couch, just put your dog in the kennel for a little bit. It's not going to do it any harm. You know what I'm saying? That way your kid can go buck wild around the house within a safe manner. So you got to secure all the things that a kid could get into: scissors, knives, chemicals.
You're supposed to secure those things?
Lock all your doors.
Yeah, Jackson can definitely open the doors.
And leave your dog in the kennel where it's safe, where it's secured, probably in a room that the kid can't access, preferably.
Bingo.
So it's comfortable while your kid goes ham, while you're trying to just relax for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I've seen that too with the kennel, like kids being able to have access to the kennel. Number one, the kids can open the kennel. They'll figure that stuff out real quick. But sticking fingers in, that kind of stuff, remember, like the kennel should be your dog's safe space. If that space is now getting violated by a toddler or whatever, boom, going to have another incident.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly. So I would say the first thing, and we talk to a lot of people, they got kids, maybe they're expecting kids, they want to know what to do. The first thing you do is properly manage, set up your house, set up your family with a structure, and provide management in the right areas. That's going to, technically be involved in some training, because your dog needs to be good in the kennel. If you have a kid, your dog needs to be good in the kennel.
Yeah.
That kennel is your dog's safe place, right? You also need to have that dog understand boundaries. You know what I'm saying? No jumping on the table, no jumping on the counter, that kind of stuff.
Possibly even the couch if we're talking about a newborn, that kind of stuff,
Yep, absolutely. But like the main thing I would think about is kennel. Make sure your dog's good to go in a kennel, because that's a great way to manage your dog while you have a crazy kid running around the house. You know what I'm saying? So we have, lots of drills that we go through to make dogs comfortable in kennels, especially dogs that aren't comfortable. But like one of those drills would be feed your dog in the kennel. It's meals. That way it associates food with the kennel. The other thing we do too is, we play a little game where we have the dog chase us. We got some food in our hand, and we toss the food into the kennel. They run into the kennel, eat the food. They come right back out.
Good time.
To us. It's a good time.
Oh, yeah.
We give them food. We toss it in the kennel. They go in, they come out. They go in, they come out. Then we slowly build up duration to how long they're going to be in that kennel. Then the other thing we do too is we make the kennel a resting place.
Mm-hmm.
So we go out, we exercise with our dog, fulfill that instinctual need of mental and physical exercise. Once that's done, bring them back inside. Instead of letting them lay on the floor, lay around, whatever, they go into their kennel. That's their resting place.
Yep.
So the dog begins to associate the kennel as a comfortable resting place where nothing bad happens to them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And we can be calm, relaxed.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then we do put it in an area where it's not going to be major traffic area. Like me personally, my kennels are in my bedroom. Some people have, the luxury of having like a office where they can have a kennel in there. Some people put some AC in their garage. They put the kennel in there,
Mm-hmm.
So like anywhere where you can kind of separate, high traffic areas to an area where that's going to be calm, that's going to be quiet, where your dog can just rest in there. You know what I'm saying? So that would be a big deal, the kennel. And then the other thing too that kind of falls under management is just making sure you're fulfilling your dog's instinctual needs.
Oh, yeah.
Every day, walking them. The walk is the bonding process. Obviously we don't want them to be pulling on the leash. So of course we're going to teach them to walk on a loose leash. And if you want to know how to do that, go to our YouTube channel. We got some videos on that, right? But we're going to teach them to walk on a loose leash. We fulfill their instinctual needs by walking them at least twice a day, 20 to 30 minutes each. If your dog likes to play fetch, that type of thing. But providing that exercise every day
Mm-hmm.
to fulfill that physical exercise instinctual need. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the major things with the management. We're talking about before you even have a kid. Before you have a kid that comes to your house, whether you're adopting a kid or you have a kid, you have these things set in place. So your dog is already used to them.
Yep.
Instead of all of a sudden you bring a kid home, all of a sudden there's new things that the dog has to do. This should just be part of your routine with the dog, ideally from day one of getting them. You know what I'm saying? You got anything to add on that as far as management? Anything I'm missing?
Yeah, I mean, just
Before
that
the kid comes
this
home,
isn't a perfect world, ideal scenario. That's what we would want, but that's not always the case. Sometimes, we have a dog good to go, just a chill dog, and then we introduce a kid later after the fact. It's still not too late to do all of this stuff that we're talking about. Might be a little bit difficult as far as the management stuff because you're introducing new things to this dog. This dog's going to be stressed out, changing the environment, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you can still apply these principles and still be successful.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would talk about is your relationship with your dog, right? Like how does your dog view you in the hierarchy of the pack? That can be a big factor. So like sometimes you can see dogs that may get a little bit jealous, new pack member has been introduced, things like that. So now things aren't going very smoothly, and that can be the cause for some of your issues. So it needs to be clear you are an effective pack leader, and we do that through the training by holding our dog to a spot, by making them do mental stimulation, physical stimulation. These kind of things are going to respect us as a pack leader. That's going to make that transition a lot easier, right? Bringing in a new pack member, just like if we were bringing in a new dog. We're bringing in a kid.
I would say even if your dog is usually chill, good to go with most people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't assume
Yep.
it's going to be good with a kid.
Yeah.
Because like we said, kids are crazy. So like while your child is a very little baby, not moving around that much, your dog may be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as that kid starts moving around,
Getting curious,
poking its thumb in those eyes,
pulling on ears,
pulling on ears, paws and tails, that dog, or sticking it right in the butthole,
Yeah.
that dog will get a little bit upset, and I would too.
I mean,
was in that situation.
Yeah, most
You know
people
what I'm
would.
saying?
Most people would.
That happens more often than not. You know what I'm saying?
That you get poked.
Not with my kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not me.
Oh.
Yeah, not me.
Okay,
Definitely
gotcha.
not me.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, back on topic. So that's a couple things to think about before your kid comes home. I get it though. People have kids. The kids, once they're in that, well, let's go ahead and talk about the infant stage where you first get that child home. And, they're just kind of basically feeding, whether that be breastfeeding or bottle feeding or whatever they're doing. So they're just kind of like little alien zombies.
Yeah.
They're just like
Little
sleeping,
things.
pooping, eating, sleeping,
Yeah.
pooping, eating,
Crying, screaming. Oh
Yep,
my
all that kind of
gosh.
stuff. So with that being said, during that stage, that dog is not really usually, that child is not being overbearing on the dog. So the dog may be used to being around the kid. A lot of people think it's cute, to put the kid on the floor and let the dog lay next to it. I don't think that's a good idea at all. When I see that, I kind of cringe.
Yeah.
I kind of get a little pucker factor going.
Or especially when people can't recognize the dogs are uncomfortable, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is seconds away.
How
from
many
going
pictures
bad.
you see on Facebook? We're so excited to bring so and so home. They put it on the floor. They got the dog right there. Well, you're laughing because it's true.
Yeah.
You can look at the picture of the dog and tell the dog's uncomfortable because it's being forced into that situation. Then you got a crying baby that's making noises like a prey item to the dog.
Yeah. And all this build up.
All this is building up, and then people are surprised when the dog all of a sudden bites the kid.
Came out of nowhere.
Yep, came out of nowhere. It's like I saw that picture. That dog
Started with the
totally
picture.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I do get a pucker factor when I see them. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, I want to message him and be like, "Don't do that." And I'm like, it's their life.
That makes you crazy.
They got to make
though.
a decision.
You don't want to be that crazy overbearing person. But
Yeah. So
hey.
don't do that. If you're
Don't.
listening, don't
Yeah.
do that.
No.
But people bring their kid home. They put him on the floor. They want the dog. They force the dog onto the kid. To me, when you bring that child home, that dog has to understand that child is off limits, 100%. You know what I'm saying? I know before I brought my girls home, I took my dogs on a minimum of a 3-hour walk. Minimum of a 3-hour walk. I know you did the same thing.
Oh yeah.
What's the purpose of that? Total mental and physical exhaustion before you even bring a new pack member into the house, because that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Bring a new pack member into your house. Now, someone listening may be like, Chad, Chris, that is extreme. 3 hours. I know it's extreme.
Yeah, babies
Right?
are extreme.
Baby is a big deal.
Yeah.
Coming home. 3-hour walk, highly recommended.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
If your dog can handle it, just make sure, maybe don't take the Frenchies on a 3-hour walk.
3-hour walk.
3-hour, maybe like a 3-hour restaurant downstay
What?
at
That's too
Dog
relaxed.
and Duck.
That's too easy. Too easy.
I mean, with a walk, you got to walk to the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a Frenchie or a short-nosed dog, you definitely got to take that into account.
Yeah.
But
The point is, smoke them.
the point is your dog should want to come into the house and immediately lay down
Yeah.
instead of want to investigate things in the house. So you bring him back in, the baby's in there, with mama preferably, and she's sitting on the couch or something or wherever's comfortable for her, and the dogs are not allowed to approach her and the baby. They've got to learn that there's a boundary around this new pack member, this baby, right?
Yep.
It's not yours to go investigate. It's not yours to dominate. It's not yours to do anything with. Your job is to continue what you've
Just
been
keep
doing.
doing your thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
be a pack member. Follow my lead. You know what I'm saying? And don't even try to step over that boundary,
Yeah.
Now, as your child develops, I do like incorporating the baby into activities with the dog. Like I used to take my kids in a stroller, walk them with the dogs. You know what I'm saying? The kids are in the stroller. They're just little aliens in the stroller, alien zombies.
Yep.
And, the dogs are just walking there, getting used to the kid being involved and stuff. And then like throwing the ball with the stroller right there with the kids sleeping and all that kind of stuff. And as the kids get older, obviously they're making noise, they're talking, they might be walking with you while you're walking your dogs, so you're just incorporating them into your daily routines with your dogs as they continue to mature, but you still communicate to your dogs. They cannot just go over to your kid and start making contact. They cannot go over there and try to dominate, And then that's also teaching the kid there's a boundary there with the dog, ideally.
Yeah.
Now the kids are going to reach an age, which is probably that, what do you think, 1 to 3 years old, where they start to get curious.
Oh, yeah.
They go to the dog. They start to want to mess with the dog, and we have to communicate to the kid not to do that to the best extent possible.
Yeah. Sometimes it's literally just picking them up and moving them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like they don't understand. A 1-year-old's not going to grasp. You can't have a rational conversation. Hey, the dog doesn't like when you poke the eye. They just know like that thing looks cool and I want to stick my finger in it.
Right.
So sometimes it's literally you physically have to get up, move your child
Most
away
of
from
the
your
time
dog.
That is what it is.
Yeah.
Then I would also like call my dog away from the kid. Like if the kids are going to corner the dog and the dog's like, oh shit, what's going on? I'm like, hey, come over here.
Yep.
And then I just take them to their kennel or something where they're safe while the kid's being curious in the house, that kind of thing. for us in the training world, we have the spot. We teach our dogs that spot or that place command. And the thing with that is you can't let anything interfere with them while they're on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're having an issue keeping the kid away from the spot, the kid wants to go crawl on it with your dog, not a good idea.
Yeah.
So like if they're trying to do that, one of the things I recommend is people get those foldable plastic gates or like foldable plastic child fences and just block off an area for your dog to be safe in that the kid can't access. That way the dog can be on their spot, they can be comfortable, and your kid can't access them, or you just block your kid into it.
Yeah.
You have an area where you lock your kid into.
A kennel? Oh, no.
It's plastic.
Don't put your kid in a kennel.
Don't put your kid in a kennel. But if they go in there on their own and they close the door on their own.
Jackson may or may not have done that. I don't know.
But these little plastic fence things I'm talking about, they're really convenient because they close onto themselves. So like you could have a little X pen area for your child, put some toys in there, let them do their thing while the dog's roaming around, or you can use it to block off an area that's safe for the dog where the kid's not interfering with the dog.
Yeah.
So those types of management techniques. But basically you got to create a structure, a scenario where your child is not able to be overbearing on the dog or go up and just do crazy stuff to the dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got any other tips or tricks for this stage in the child rearing process?
I'd say let's go a little bit further back. You can start to prepare your dog. Let's say the scenario is we're having a baby. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we got 9 months to prepare. You know what I'm saying? So you can start getting them used to certain. Hopefully. Sometimes Jackson came a little quick. It's not 9 months, but you've got time to get your dogs used to a new routine, right? We know there's going to be baby toys all over the place. We're going to have a bassinet or something like that, or like you mentioned, a stroller, different things like that. Like a stroller, we're introducing something new to the walk. I can do that before the baby's even in the picture. I can start walking with an empty stroller. The dog's like, what is this thing?
Put a baby doll in there.
You could put a watermelon or something in there. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have anything in there. You just condition them to the stroller, right?
Yeah.
Like a bassinet. In my situation, so Jackson did come pretty early, so he was in the NICU for a while. So I actually had the benefit of putting his scent in the house. The NICU would give me some of his blankets. I'd put it in the bassinet that's going to be in the bedroom while the dogs are roaming around. They're getting used to that scent being present. Nice. So now it's not as like crazy when we bring this alien home, right? Yeah. So like little things like that you can start introducing. Everybody's getting their baby room ready, having a crib, that kind of stuff, whatever, setting that stuff up. So you can start to get them in the routine of like, hey, something is changing, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's going to make your transition a lot smoother when baby comes home from the hospital.
Yeah, good point. What about when they're 1 to 3s are getting curious, other than some of the management techniques we talked about? Anything else that you've kind of experienced that's working for you?
No, I mean,
that you see with other people, because you do have some people you're working with that have kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is just you got to pay attention. Got to have these management tools, and if you're not going to have, like, if you're not able, like my house, I'm not able to really set up a gate kind of stuff. I kind of got a smaller living room. Mm-hmm. It's just not practical. So I have to be vigilant, and that's easier said than done when you got a little toddler running around. Mm-hmm. But you have to. You got to pay attention. If they're making the dogs uncomfortable, you've got to get up, physically remove them. Jackson's, my son is almost 3 years old. He's starting to understand now. And so now I can communicate, involve him in some training. I feed my dogs on their spot at this point. So I have him involved in that process. So now to the dogs, it's a little bit more positive, right? Like Jackson doesn't just mean, overbearing child is coming, watch out. Yeah. He's like, this kid is part of the pack. He's bringing us food, that kind of stuff. So I'm starting to incorporate them, but they got to understand it. If they don't, you're just managing at that point till they do understand.
Yeah. And I do the same thing, try to incorporate my kids into the feeding routine, and they just basically scoop the food, put it into the bowl, which is good for the kid, empowering them, giving them some responsibility.
For sure.
Also working on that hand-to-eye coordination, because it's hard for a kid to scoop it and get it. Because one time, little Emma, she scoops it, she just throws it on the floor. And Georgia, no big deal. She'll go eat it off the floor.
Yeah, no issues. Yeah, we're trying to get Jackson now. Well, we pretty much got him doing it where I'll give him the food bowl and he takes it to the dogs. Takes the bowl. Well, like the first couple times, he just dump it on top on the spot all over the place. But
Vader don't care.
Dogs had they had a good time.
Good to go. So good ways to incorporate the kid, which brings us to the next piece we need to talk about is we do want our kids and dogs interacting. You know,
Yeah.
that's something that we want as humans. We have our dogs, which we love dearly. We have our children, which we love dearly. So
Why'd you stutter on that one? Was
a
it
little stutter action, you know?
little slip there?
So we want them to be able to interact. Obviously, we need to play it safe, like we've been talking about this entire time. But to get to that point, you know, let's say we are to the point we're comfortable, we're feeling like the dog's comfortable with the child. We still need to supervise every single interaction, you know. And then what I do with one of my dogs or a couple of my dogs, this is also going to depend on your dog's personality.
Sure.
You know, some dogs, they're just not going to be able to deal with the kids, so you got to manage them a little bit differently, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, you know. But let's say you got dogs that aren't like that. You're slowly getting them used to it. You're building up that trust where you're trusting the dog to understand the child. You're trusting the child to the best of their ability to trust the dog, understand the dog. You know what I'm saying? Keep in mind, children are still children. They're going to be crazy at times. They're going to be overbearing at times. That's why you need to always supervise it. But like if I go in and I have playtime with my kids, I may have one or two of my dogs go in there with me, and they're just chilling out with me. They're getting used to like that playtime situation. They're not really doing anything. They're just in the room with us hanging out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or doing bedtime routine. We're getting the kids ready for bedtime. And brushing teeth, going potty, reading books before bed, having the dog present during those types of situations as well builds up that further interaction. You know what I'm saying? So I like incorporating that, getting them to do those interactions together. So you got anything you're doing like that at your place, you know?
I mean, same stuff, you know? I mean, just like I'm at the stage now, I'm very comfortable, you know, letting the dogs free roam around the house while Jackson's also free roaming around the house and that kind of stuff.
You
But
gave Jackson the free roam privilege?
he's got, I mean, he just took them. He just took I didn't give it to him. He just took those privileges.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's little things like, so we got him this little RC car, right? Electric car, the same one we're talking about that he drove into the trench, right?
Yeah.
He drives that in the house sometimes, you know,
Really?
like, so Leia and Vader, they're like, whatever. They just move out of the way. Lola does not like that thing, right? So like now there are times maybe I'm going to put Lola in her spot and I can have a conversation with Jackson like, hey, we don't drive over here by Lola. Other dogs fine. Do your thing.
Yeah.
You know, they're comfortable. Lola doesn't like it, you know, so I let Jackson do his thing while Lola's just holding her spot. She's getting better and better with it and where it's not bothering as much, you know, so like little things like that. But the management side is getting a little less, but I'm still, you know, me and Kelly are still paying attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, even, you know, it's easy to get complacent, like you were talking about. You know, we're tired, we're just checking something on our phone or whatever. Are we paying attention? So, you know, we try to be pretty vigilant as far as what is he doing, what are the dogs doing. But that's key, I think.
Absolutely. So, and then as your child continues to grow and develop, you know, I would just say continue to keep them involved, continue to keep them involved in the training. You know what I'm saying? Continue to supervise and just try to, you know, my idea is try to raise the kids in a way where they're involved in the training. They understand dogs as dogs. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, you know, we're dog trainers. We're dog behaviorists. We understand, you know, what exactly we're looking at. So teaching our kids those types of things as well. Teaching our kids, not every dog is a nice dog.
Yep.
You know, how many times are we out doing distraction work with our training dogs and we have kids running up to us and the dog is not good to go for that.
Parents nowhere to be found
Parents
sometimes
don't care.
too.
They're like, oh, look, it's a dog.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, no petting, no petting. You know, we have to stop them.
Yeah.
You know, because they're just used to like every dog's a nice dog. You can go up and just pet every dog however you want. That's not true.
Yeah.
So if you're a parent listening to this, do not allow your kids to do that. Don't teach them that's okay. You know,
I mean, even if you as the parent see a dog out in public that you're like, that dog's good to go, you should still get your child in the habit of, well, hey, we got to ask. Let's ask if we can pet them.
Right.
You know, that kind of stuff. Like kids need, and I've had on the other end, I've had kids that were very good at that stuff that come up. Yeah. They come up nice and calm.
Yep.
Excuse me, can we pet your dog? And very like, you know, very well trained kids. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so sometimes, well, hey, go ahead and pet them. Sometimes no, can't pet them. You know.
Yep. Absolutely.
So. Yeah, that's key. That's important.
Yeah, teach your kid that there's a boundary there. You don't just run up at a dog.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And then also teach them, like, if they see free roaming dogs, what kind of body language can you look at? As the kid develops, obviously they're going to understand these things, but like, what's the ears look like? What's the body posture? What's the tail position? You know, that tells you about that dog. That tells you what they're feeling. That tells you what you can do in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Versus just running up to any dog, possibly getting bit, you know, stuff like that. So just teaching them as they continue to develop what to look for, how to interact with dogs, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But let's talk real quick about a special topic, especially that's very near and dear to me because I have a dog like this, very dominant dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
This dog, he's the reason why we started Canine Revolution. If you've heard our story from back in the day, a couple of the podcasts, but basically this dog extremely dominant. When we first started getting into dog training, he wanted to correct us.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't do that anymore because of our rehabilitation and our training process and system. But with kids, like this dog has to be 100% supervised, and he will tell you when he's uncomfortable, which is most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a kid around, he's going to be uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this type of dog, if you have a dog like this, or maybe it's a very insecure dog, it's usually going to be one end of the spectrum or the other.
Right.
People that are dealing with this situation is people with dogs that are very dominant, that want to correct all the time, or it's a situation where it's a dog that's very insecure, that gets scared or nervous very quickly to the point where they want to correct or bite to get away from a situation.
Mm-hmm.
A dominant dog wants to correct or bite to control a situation. Insecure dog's trying to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
Right? So I have the dominant dog. So even more stringent management techniques need to be followed.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I do. All right? Because I don't trust him without me there. I don't trust him with the kids without my direct oversight. As a parent, as a father with 2 children,
Yeah.
it's very chaotic at times. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So even if
Yeah.
you had him in a house, and again, houses for the most part are pretty compact. The rooms are designed, to be comfortable for people. If a dog that's dominant, for example, is trying to get out of a situation and it can't,
Oh, yeah.
it's going to try and correct. If an insecure dog's in a situation and it can't get out of the situation because the layout of the room or whatever, or the way the kid's approaching them, and it can't get out of the situation, it's going to try and bite to get away. You know what I'm saying? So with that in mind, especially if you got multiple kids, it's going to be very chaotic in the house at times.
Oh, yeah.
And so rather than trying to just have your dog free roaming the house, out in the house, whatever, allow that dog to have a safe place in your house, whether that be a room that you designate where that dog is to hang out while the kids are in other areas of the house, or its own kennel, and again, the kennel should be a good place to be at. But this type of dog, you need to manage a little bit differently. Now, with that being said, because I have this conversation with a lot of people, because they reach out, they tell me this happened, that happened, and they're telling me situations that are going on, and I can tell the dog's either dominant or it's insecure. And so I'm giving them like, hey, you do need to be on a tighter management technique schedule than most people with this dog.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, what I recommend is if you're not able to dedicate 100% of your attention and focus on making sure that dog is good to go with the kids doing their thing, which is super hard as a parent because you're trying to
you're never going to be able to do 100%.
For the most part,
like,
you're not going to be able to. So it's like, that's few and far in between. So like if you can't do that, have the dog in their safe place, whether that be their kennel, this special room area, whatever. But with that being said, guess what? You got to work still.
Yep.
You got to do other things. You got to take care of your kids. So what does that mean? That means that your dog is going to be in its kennel longer than the average dog.
Yeah.
It means that your dog is going to be in its safe area, whether that be a special room or something that you set up for it, longer than the average dog. And as a human, guess what happens? You feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
You can't feel bad.
Yeah.
We're talking about the safety of your kids, and we're talking about the well-being of your dog.
Yeah.
You love both of them. So in this situation, your dog's going to be in the room or the kennel for a longer period of time than normal. So what does that mean? It means you got to make sure 100% that you're providing that dog everything they need instinctually every single day.
Yeah.
Before it's going to be in there for an extended period of time and after.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure you're doing plenty of exercise, plenty of training, plenty of mental exercise, right? Physical exercise, mental exercise, training to fulfill that dog's needs, right? Before it's kid time. Let's say the bulk of the day is kid time, and the evening again. you got to make sure you're providing plenty of physical exercise, plenty of mental exercise, plenty of training time to fulfill that dog's instinctual needs. Now, when the kids go to bed, maybe then the dog's allowed to have that free roaming ability. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you have that dog outside with you and your kids because it's a more open space. There's the ability for the dog to get away from the situation without feeling cornered, which is fine. You can provide more supervision out there. But in the house, a lot of times, there's just too much furniture, too many different setups, too many potential issues with kids trapping the dog, cornering the dog, and the dog feeling like they can't get out of the situation, so they give a correction. Now you got animal control showing up, not good to go.
Yeah.
You're starting to question the dog. You love the dog, but because you failed, you as the parent, you failed to manage properly, now the dog has to reap the consequences.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's better to implement a more stringent management technique. Make sure you're fulfilling that dog's instinctual needs every single day.
And guess what? That might mean waking up a little bit earlier.
I mean, you have to wake up a little bit early.
You might have to stay up a little bit late.
3:30.
4 o'clock's good. 4 is good.
But let's say, it's better for you to implement stricter management than it is for you to, kill your dog. That doesn't need to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Fulfill your dog's needs, take care of them, have dog time, also make sure that dog's in a calm state of mind, has a safe place to go to. And as a human, that's the hardest thing when I'm talking to people about this is they just can't deal with extended periods of time with their dog being in a kennel or their dog being in a separate area of the house. They can't deal with it. They feel bad for the dog, but you can't.
No.
You can't feel bad because this is with your dog's well-being in mind. It's with your children's well-being in mind. Children are chaotic.
Yeah.
Children are crazy. You know what I'm saying? They're great, but they're crazy.
Yeah.
This
is what we're talking about is better for your dog.
Exactly.
It should be kind of seen as in reverse. It's almost meaner to put them in that situation that they're uncomfortable with. So you should feel bad doing that, right? And not feel bad about introducing this structure. Like realistically, and we get this a lot with the kennel too. I feel bad putting my dog in the kennel, that kind of stuff. Like realistically, how much do our dogs sleep throughout the day? They're probably once you have people over, you have kids over, the chaos calms down, they're probably just getting on the couch going to sleep anyway, right?
Pet dogs for the most part are going to sleep 80% of the day. Pet dogs,
right?
That just is what it is.
So in a situation where we need management, it's not that big of a deal to put them in a guest bedroom where they're sleeping on the bed or they're sleeping in the kennel versus sleeping on the couch with everybody. Right?
Absolutely. So just take that, think about that, reach out to us if you want to talk more about your specific situation. But I've talked to so many parents, that are dealing with a dog that's either very dominant or very insecure. And, we talk about this strict management technique and, they want to do it, but a lot of times they just can't bring themselves to do it. You've got to do it. You've got to make that decision. And I get it. After a certain period of time, 3 months or something, you're feeling bad. You can't feel bad.
No.
Get into your routine.
Well, and if you're doing everything right, you have no reason to feel bad.
That's what I'm saying.
There's literally nothing to feel bad about.
Yeah, you fulfill your dog's instinctual needs.
Yeah.
You provide it with exercise. You provide it with fulfillment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You train with it. You have a good time with it. You allow it to have, playtime, all that kind of stuff. You're good to go.
Yeah. It's literally as simple as there's times I spend with my child and not my dog. And then there's times I spend with my dog and not my child. It's all about balance, And so if you're doing all that, there's literally nothing to feel bad about.
Right. Exactly. So whoever needs to hear that, hopefully you heard that. Super important, Hopefully you guys took away a lot of the major talking points we talked about today with dogs and children. If you like this discussion, definitely let us know. We can talk more about it. But today we kind of covered the basics, what to be thinking about when you're having kids. But definitely management is huge. Structure is huge. Schedule/routine, huge. Training, big time. Definitely need that. It's going to help out with everything. So you guys reach out to us if you have any questions. We appreciate you guys. Hit the subscribe button. Give us a 5-star review on our your favorite podcasting platform, and appreciate your feedback. Check out the apparel stuff on our Instagram, and y'all have a good one.
I gotta pee so bad.